Can I come out with?
Whoa! Oh, okay? He's helpless. He is helpless.
Okay, it looked for a minute there like
ladies and gentlemen,
the only defensive move he could, headbutt to the crotch.
Get your backyard wrestling merch at ProWrestlingTees.com.
All the planning and foresight in the world can get knocked on its ass by the harsh sting of reality. No matter how good your intentions may be, sometimes they just fall flat. We had a few matches that, on paper, seemed like they would be awesome. Dare I say, even dream matches. But unfortunately, as great as they looked on paper, in reality, they ended up as complete duds. As PWL neared its conclusion in mid-2003, we decided to conceive a brand new match type, just 'cause. We called it Road to Hell. The idea was basically a carbon copy of a match Raven was doing in TNA at the time called the Clockwork Orange House of Fun match. It was basically just a hardcore match, except we hung weapons from the ropes. The first Road to Hell match would pit myself against Nappy with my hardcore title on the line. Nappy and I had clashed a few times before this, and we always clicked, so this match should have been a classic. It was not. We just kinda spent the whole match hitting each other with stuff, and then at one point I pulled an American History X and had him bite the curb because reasons.
Bite the curb! Bite the curb!
Nappy would actually beat me for the hardcore title, and then Xavier Lascano, who I had hired as a literal wrestling hitman, ran in and laid Nappy out and then pulled me on top so I could win my title back since it was defended under 24/7 rules. Now, Road to Hell 2 and 3 were both memorable outings, and Road to Hell 3 was even voted CCW's Match of the Year for 2005. But this first one was completely forgettable. In September of 2003, CCW started wrestling in front of an audience for the very first time. First impressions are everything, so we opened the show with me taking on the Grim and closed the show with Poe and Kid Crush for the CCW title. For the mid-card, we booked Nappy against a wrestler named Stealth. Stealth was a former PWL Intercontinental Champion and had strong ties to both Poe and Kid Crush, so on paper, this match should have been a banger. And then the bell rang. Now, both men weren't bad. I would go so far as to say they were both great wrestlers even. But this was the first time they had ever locked up, and they just didn't click. It started off strong, but the match fell apart pretty quickly. I don't know if they were nervous wrestling in front of a crowd like this, or if it was just a case of them not having chemistry. But this was the only time they worked together, and Stealth never wrestled for us again.
What?
By March 2004, the war between CCW and RCW was at its very beginnings. And the first strike came when myself and Poe invaded the RCW arena, and I got thrown into an impromptu match with Just Insane. Now, between CCW and RCW, we each had a doppelganger, a mirror universe version of ourselves in the opposing fed, and Justin was mine. We would go on to have some memorable moments and great matches, but this first outing left a lot to be desired. There was a definite feeling out process with us as we gauged where each other was and got comfortable working together, but this match was ugly. Bowling shoe ugly. Wasn't all bad though. There was actually some pretty nice spots in here, but there was also a lot of no-selling and a complete lack of psychology. Compared to the matches we would have down the road, this one just doesn't hold up.
I hope you got your first match that we're going to go back and watch, because that shit was disgusting. You two were like literally not selling for either of each other. You're like, fuck that shit. He just got smashed in the head with a fucking chair, and he pops up and he's smashing you in a chair with 10 seconds left.
Kid Crush and I had been longtime rivals over the years. Our feud over the CCW title in 2004 was legendary. But in April 2005, we got thrown together in a match because, well, 4 people showed up and the main event was supposed to be Nappy and Evan. Now, normally Kid Crush and I have great chemistry, but there was something about this day. Something was just off. The match started out okay. There were some good spots and lots of intensity. By this point, we could have wrestled each other with our eyes closed. But about halfway through the match, the damn thing went off the rails. I botched a package pile driver. Kid Crush somehow low-blowed himself on a moonsault. We were both gassed out completely by the end. Kid Crush ended up getting the win, but the match was such a dud that afterwards, he would demand a rematch, which set up our last man standing match the following month.
Yeah, you're a 9-time heavyweight champion. But I want you, and your rules, hardcore, whatever you want. You decide the match, I want you again. I didn't get the best of you tonight. I want you in your match, in your level.
Nappy's feeling the pain. Looks like
for once and for all,
somebody.
The gauntlet has been laid, ladies and gentlemen.
You can't be great all the time. Everyone has an off day. Fortunately for us, though, we were able to move past them and not let them hinder our forward momentum. The greats aren't great because they never fall. They're great because they always pick themselves up when they do.